don't actually agree with that, to be honest.
I'm not saying get rid of him.
It's a theory. It's a thing that people talk about.
Welcome to Targeting Podcast, everybody. Episode 7. We got the boys here. Boys, how we doing? Now we're all home, so how we doing?
Cold here, man.
Absolutely great. John isn't home yet, though.
Not yet. I'm coming home Tuesday. Don't worry. I'm coming home Tuesday.
It feels like he's in Boston, so it feels like he's home in a way, but he's still
true.
I'm nearby.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So today we'll get into a lot of discussion. We'll go all around the board, but let's start with the NFL, boys. So tough news this week with Burrow tearing his ACL. I think he tore like 2 other parts. I heard it was a gruesome injury.
It's ACL, MCL with some
other knee
fractural damage to his knee and ligaments in the knee. So it's kind of like an Alex Smith situation. He's probably not going to be back for a whole season or 2.
Yeah. So the Bengals already were like an team. So, I mean, I don't really think we need to discuss how that's going to affect them because we already kind of know.
It's definitely just a tragic injury for a guy like that.
Yeah,
his ceiling is as high as anybody's in the entire league. The Bengals need to know that they need to spend their money on the O-line and protect Joe Burrow. He is their franchise. So you need to reevaluate what you're doing as a team and spend the money on the O-line to protect him. The guy has no time. He gets absolutely molested every time he's in the pocket. It's terrible. He needs help, and the Bengals need to realize that if they don't put help around him, Joe Burrow's not going to be a Bengal for much longer. So when he comes back, he needs a good O-line to protect him because he's so good. It's just they don't give him an opportunity to flourish.
They can be a team.
I hope he gets back. I hope he comes back 100%. I hope he has a great recovery because that's tragic in the first year.
He can be a guy that really brings that franchise out of the ground at some point in a couple of years or so. He needs the experience, and the only way you can get some experience is if you got a great front line in front of you that's going to protect you in the pocket because, he's a guy that's also going to run out of that pocket, but you can't run out of the pocket if you're getting hammered by these big-ass guys. I mean, think about who you got in the league. Khalil Mack, J.J. Watt. You're not surviving. You're not surviving at this point.
Yeah, it's just tough to see, a guy like that get injured so early because, you're just, that's just, going to be a tinge on his career because you don't really know what he can do yet. And then even when he comes back, you don't know if he's going to be the same. So, I mean, I'm really just upset with just the Bengals and not, like you said, Justin, not getting him a sufficient enough O-line. Because when you get a new QB, that's got to be your second thought is getting an O-line to back him up. Because a QB is going to only be as good as how well your O-line is defending you. So it's tough to see that a guy like that who literally has the world at his hands, he's going to be a threat in the NFL, already getting injured like this and the worst way possible. It's tough to see.
Talk with those number 1, number 2 overall picks. They got nobody. So I don't know.
It's tough. These teams prioritize QBs to get it in the draft, yet they completely disregard their current O-line, and then they're like, why isn't this working? It's because your QB has no time to throw the football or do anything else. So I think if you're an NFL team, if your first pick's a QB, your next couple rounds need to be O-line or at least sign somebody in free agency or
get a veteran. You got to get a veteran.
Or, just put a veteran in there, but your QBs are going to be only as good as your O-line. That's how Brady survived all these years. It's because he's always.
I would rather have a solid QB with a solid O-line and a mediocre running back who can at least weave his way through with the O-line protecting it, and a mediocre wide receiver.
Running back's only as good as their O-line as well.
Yeah,
right. Need a good O-line.
And the wide receiver. I mean, Joe Burrow is going to make any guy on the field catch the ball. A quarterback like that's going to make any guy catch the ball if he gets it to him. In worst case scenario, you just run it or you give it to Burrows. But again, you need that O-line. You need time in the pocket. That's another thing. The wide receivers don't have time to catch the ball and get downfield if the quarterback's already getting sacked. So
exactly,
it's just a damn shame that teams like this don't take this into consideration, or they do, but they don't prioritize it as much as I would think.
I just don't think they prioritize it as much. I think they're thinking QB, running back, wide receiver without disregarding that old line. Might be as crucial as any other part you're getting, because if you don't have a good O line, none of that's going to work. None of that's going to stick.
Yeah, basically the only exception I could think of is Deshaun Watson. He's just magical scrambling out of the pocket because the Texans have a terrible O-line. He's still great, but they don't win games necessarily. But he's really the only exception I can think of.
He was
So you need
weaving
a
in
great
and out.
O-line.
He was weaving in and out the other day on
I've almost
Thanksgiving.
never
Yeah, he
seen
played-
anyone as mobile as Deshaun Watson. He's incredible. Like he's absolutely incredible. He's so good.
He
I
played,
hate that he
Murray.
signed that extension. He signed an extension in Houston. And I'm not really a fan. I mean, I respect staying with the team you got drafted to. I definitely respect that, and I like what he's doing. But I don't know that Houston's going in the right direction for him at all, especially trading away Hopkins last offseason. So
Justin,
that sucks for him. But he's really great.
I'm going to say Kyler Murray is probably going to be a guy that's going to beat out Deshaun Watson as an unbelievable rushing quarterback. I don't see any other quarterback right now, even Lamar Jackson, being as good as Kyler Murray at the moment. The guy's on the Arizona Cardinals he's got some good receivers around him.
He's got DeAndre Hopkins there now.
He's got Hopkins now. But
Larry Fitz.
Still, that sometimes with a team like that was in the ground, it's hard to bring them out, especially when you get drafted that high in the draft. And this guy is just unbelievable. It's just amazing to watch that guy play.
Yeah, and as you just said, him scrambling out of the pocket and stuff is different. He and Deshaun Watson are such talented runners. It's crazy.
He had a great Thanksgiving game, just 4 touchdowns, played friggin' unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's really just a guy. He's always a guy I envisioned I wanted on the Patriots, just because I'm biased hometown fan. But he's gonna be one of the best QBs in the league. I think once it's all said and done, once like Breeze and Brady are out of the league, that's gonna be the guy that people are looking up to, and trying to model their game after. I think Mahomes too, but
definitely Mahomes is unbelievable, and he's going to get a lot of rings in the next 13 years of his contract. So he's going to be that guy. But
the game of football seems to be changing. I feel like more and more you see, so many quarterbacks now coming out of the draft that are just so mobile. Even if they're not even that mobile, you can guarantee that they'll get you yards when they run. Like you don't see guys like Breeze, Rodgers, and Brady anymore in these drafts that are just those types of franchise quarterbacks. Like when they retire, like Rivers, Roethlisberger, the league's gonna be different. You're just gonna see teams working around scrambling quarterbacks. That's gonna be fun to see.
I think it's because teams don't want to invest in O-lines when they know that like if they can get a good enough QB that can run out of the pocket, then they really don't need a good O-line. They can.
No, you're right.
Put their money elsewhere.
But the Burrows, that's why I'm bringing this in. The Burrow situation shows that you just can't totally disregard the O-line.
Yeah, I agree. So I think you need the Bengals, what they needed to do is evaluate what their QB situation was. And when you have a guy like Burrow who doesn't, I don't think he scrambles out of the pocket that much. Like when he
definitely can, but like it's not.
He's
not a run first quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's at the end of the day what it is. Like you were saying that, John, how a lot of the guys that get drafted now are extremely mobile and are great runners. At the end of the day, and some work out and some don't. There have been a lot of busts that were run first quarterbacks and it didn't work out over the past few years. And at the end of the day, to be a quarterback in the National Football League, you have to be a pass first quarterback that can also run. I mean, you don't have to also run because of like the guys like you just said, Tom and Ben and all that, and Aaron Rodgers. Like they don't run really ever. But nowadays, you have to be pass first. You can't be a run first quarterback, or you're just not going to work out. And that's why, like, it may be an extremely hot take, but I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to be a starting quarterback in 5 years from now.
Wow.
I know he won MVP last year, and I said it the day he won MVP. I don't think 5 years from now he'll be a starting quarterback. We've seen the same thing happen to Cam Newton, who got another chance this year, and we've seen the same thing happen to RG3 and all these guys that are run first quarterbacks. They don't work out. They flash the league with their talent, and a few years later, you don't really hear about them anymore. But that might be an extremely hot take. So
I think Lamar. I'm kind of on the same thing with Justin. I don't know about the 5 years, but I think I like Lamar Jackson. I think I didn't include him though with the Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson conversation a minute ago because he just, to me, isn't the type of quarterback that's going to make the passes along with the runs that you like.
Well, he is because he won MVP.
He is.
Ravens are really good, but
he is. I'm not shitting on him because he's a great fucking quarterback. But Kyler Murray just, I don't know. The man doesn't miss. He rarely misses when I see him play. And Deshaun Watson too. But I feel like they are in the pocket so long trying to throw it deep downfield because they have arms. But Lamar, when he just gets a little pressure on the edge, he just runs out, which is fine. But
I don't know. I still see him as a good QB. I think he has the same problem Burrow does, where he doesn't have a good enough O-line.
I think it's
Where
gonna
like
be injuries.
if
That's
he
what I think.
wanted to stay in the pocket and pass, I think he could. I think he needs a good enough O-line to do it. And he's complained about that multiple times where he's like,
Yeah.
I just don't have enough time to pass the ball. So now I have to like scramble shit like just to get to the end zone or just to get some yards. So it's a hot take. It's one that I can see, but I'm still just gonna disagree because I don't necessarily think he's a run first QB. I think he's a let's see how my O line situation is. And if it's shitty, which it has been, I think he just needs a little more time than some of these other QBs to pass. And let's be real, like Baltimore's not the greatest, like they don't have the greatest wides in the league. So I think overall, I think he's a good QB. I think it's just a special situation for him where he feels like he has to run first just to get yards and just to get stuff going. But
Yeah. Well, especially in the AFC, I don't see him ever getting by Mahomes and the Chiefs. In other words, I don't see them getting to a Super Bowl.
That's another thing. Like there's
Mahomes will never lose to a Lamar Jackson or a type.
That's true.
Like that.
That's another. But I think that's a different story because you're saying he's not going to be a starting QB because there's still going to be.
No, you're right.
Baltimore Ravens.
You're right. It is completely a different take. You're right.
I do agree with you that the AFC I think is going to take over, in the next couple of years. Especially if Deshaun stays here, especially if Patrick Mahomes stays here, and the NFC will start to become more obsolete because you'll have guys like Brady's in the NFC now, so you'll have those guys start to retire, and you have all these young QBs that are going to AFC teams now. Burrow with the Bengals, so I think the AFC is going to become a lot more of a powerhouse than the NFC. I think the NFC is going to become more obsolete, but
you might be right. You might be right.
But
a lot of talent.
It's a lot of talent. I just think that you got these new QBs. Or I know what I'll be excited to see. I'll be excited to see where Trevor Lawrence goes.
It's probably going to be the New York Jets, so another AFC team.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I guess the last NFL team we should probably talk about is the Steelers, who are just still undefeated. Like, it's crazy. I don't know when they're going to lose. I know they have Baltimore coming up this weekend. That was supposed to be Thanksgiving Day. That would have been a great game. I was excited to watch that, but
they were pissed about that. Did you hear about that?
So
Baltimore. So the Steelers were ready to play. Apparently, most of the people that had COVID were on Baltimore.
Yeah,
and I think maybe a few Steelers players might have, like here and there, but I think most of it was on Baltimore. And the Steelers were like, "Let's play. We got our guys that we need to win, like ready to go. So let's just play Thanksgiving Day." And Baltimore's like, "No, like if we play Thanksgiving Day, like we're not gonna have enough time to like get ready." And the Steelers were pissed because they're like, "We're gonna just beat them anyways. Why don't we just like play on Thanksgiving? I think we have some guys out. They have some guys out. Let's just play anyways." And then Baltimore was like, "No, let's just move it to Sunday." So they were not very happy about that.
Well, I mean, that's fair too. I mean, you're going to have guys that are out with COVID and also guys that are out with injuries. I don't know the extent to which. Obviously, if you're the Ravens, if you're any organization like that, you're going to argue against playing because you want to have the highest potential to win. But that does suck for like the Steelers, who I think I rarely seen play on Thanksgiving, and it's not many guys get to play on Thanksgiving.
But do you think, like, just from a generally, like, teams can do that? Like, from my point of view,
I don't think it should be a team decision. It should be a league decision. If the league thinks, which I mean, I think at the end of the day they decided, but I think teams shouldn't really be the ones that push for it. If the league thinks COVID's a problem, they don't want the teams getting it and swapping it back and forth, whatever, then they shouldn't play. But I feel like the NFL, a lot of times the teams are dictating what's going to happen. And then obviously we know Goodell makes the final decision and he usually cucks out and does whatever they say.
Clown. I just think if your team and someone on your team gets COVID, it should be treated the same as an injury where you're not going to play them. You're going to make sure everyone else is not like I don't know how you could be at risk for an injury, but at risk for an injury, let's just say. And if everyone's cleared, everyone's good, then you should play same day. or
You all
play.
test negative. If you all test negative, but that one player, like what happened with Cam, you put Cam out, and you play the rest of the team.
Yeah,
just
right.
don't
I think that the
it's-
NFL is like being spotty with it. Like sometimes they postpone them. Sometimes they make the teams play with the players that have COVID sitting out. Sometimes they're like they don't have a strict thing that they stick to as far as like what they do when somebody does test positive. It definitely just depends on. It also depends on like whether those teams have had a bye week so far or what's going on with that, and like if they could push a week or whatever. Like it definitely is. It depends on
I
each
mean,
circumstance.
this is a spotty week.
That-
What were you gonna say, Dame?
They need
Yeah.
that bubble for playoffs. It's not going to work unless they have that. People
I-
need to get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just don't think you can do that. Like, I just personally, I'm like, if a guy's out, high profile, not high profile, like I just think if you have a guy out, whether he's your best player in your team or he's the worst player in your team, you're still obligated to play that game. I compare it to like if he had an injury. If your best guy had an injury, you're not going to just postpone the game because that's not a fair representation of your team. No,
Right.
like they're still gonna play the team. They're still gonna play, and you guys might lose, and you can at the end of the day say, "Oh, it's because I didn't have my best player." But at the end of the day, the game was still played. You still lost. So that's my opinion. If one of your teammates has the virus, if you're testing negative, the rest of your team's testing negative. Even if he's the best player on your team or the worst player on your team, you should still play the game. If you lose, it happens.
I don't think they necessarily care about that. I think it's that people can get the virus 3 to 5 days after. So they don't know. Even if you test negative that day, it doesn't matter because 3 to 5 days later, you could have got it from that player.
But
But they have
that's
to
not.
postpone it in that
If
way.
I thought that was the reason they were doing it, then I'd say go ahead. But that's not the reason they're doing it.
I actually do think that could be because I know that some games that were supposed to be played on Sunday got pushed to Tuesday, so you get the 3 extra days or whatever, and that could definitely be exactly what it is actually. So you definitely might be right about that, Dan.
the one thing I agree with you, Jerry, is that I think that the league should be making the decisions because I feel like any team is gonna if we cast it farther back, Brady got injured. If Brady was in the situation for the past and Brady got it and was out, we say, oh no, then it isn't a fair representation, which any team is gonna do. But I think you still have to play the game. Like no one postpones an important game just because of a player being injured. Again, these are different times, so I understand the whole virus
You don't
situation.
have a good system in play. That's all.
But
Yeah,
I
at
think
the end of the day, it comes to having a bubble.
it comes to having the system.
If they had a consistent rule where it was like, okay, if you have this many players that have it and then you need to play 3 to 5 days later, that's good. But like now you can have teams bend their rules and stuff. It doesn't
Yeah.
work.
You can have teams that have 20 guys that are out. I think the Raiders had something like that. 20 guys test positive, like their whole defense, and they play a couple days later. Now we have a team that has a couple guys test positive, and they have to postpone the game for 3 extra whole days. Which I don't understand because I don't even know. I can't even argue because I don't even know the rules because there are no rules.
It's not fair to teams like the Steelers who are just trying to get wins on their calendar. They're just trying to finish up the season so they can get to the playoffs. And like they'll have teams like the Ravens or the Jets just dicking around, just like trying to like not play the game.
Well, I don't think it's not fair to them. I mean, every team in the league is going through it right now. I don't think it's not fair that they have to wait 3 extra days to play.
I think it's
not
just.
that.
It's like you're allowing the other team to just like.
Nah, I
You're
think
not
it's just.
allowing the other team.
Nah.
The other teams, I'm sure they wanted. I'm
Jerry,
sure
I think
the Ravens wanted to play on Thanksgiving, and I'm sure that whoever has COVID wishes they didn't have COVID.
This is another thing, Jerry. Everyone wants to play on Thanksgiving. I think it sucks at the end of the day, but I think the Ravens want their best chance to win, but they also have to take into consideration there's a virus, and maybe they're trying to be proactive with that, and they don't want their whole team to get it, and then they have no shot of even making it into the playoffs. I don't know what the reasons are. Again, we don't even know what the rules are. They barely even tell us anything, the NFL. But I see your point. I just don't think you can just take the side of the team that's undefeated and argue because every team's in this situation, like Justin said. And you just got to suck it up at the end of the day. If you got to wait 3 more days, you got to wait 3 more days. It sucks, but we've all been in this. There's no arguing it. Once the people make a decision, there's no arguing it.
Well,
It's been happening all season.
You can't really argue it, but I just think overall it's Just I think if the Steelers wanted to play, if I'm not sure how many guys it was on the Ravens either, but if it was only a few guys on the Ravens and it was like nothing for the Steelers,
I think it was only a couple guys on the Ravens, but I could be wrong.
then I think
I
the
could
game
be
would
wrong.
have played, but
I
that's
could be
just my
wrong.
opinion.
As
Well,
far
I
as the
think-
Steelers' schedule goes, they literally could go 16-0 though. But they do have the Ravens this week. They have the Washington football team, the Bengals, the Browns, the Colts. Those are winnable games. They do have the Bills in there as well.
The
So those
Bills,
are 6 matchups.
the Bills is the one team because the Bills beat, I think, the Seahawks, right? Bills are showing themselves to be a formidable team. I don't think
the
Ravens
Bills are nice.
I don't think the Ravens are going to even touch the Steelers, but the Ravens.
It's probably going to be a good game. They played earlier
It's going to be a good game. It was 28-24.
Yeah, it was.
On the 1st of November. I don't think. I mean, we don't know. The Ravens could come out with a late game field goal, something like that. We don't know, but I think when you just look at the teams as they are, Steelers will probably win that one.
Do you guys think
Colts have a nice defense, but they don't have the offense to play? I think Bills might be the one to beat them, but that's still tough.
Do you think the Steelers make a decent playoff run?
They probably will make a decent playoff run. I don't think that decent playoff run includes a Super Bowl, but I don't think they're going to get by the Chiefs. I don't think they'll get by the Chiefs, no matter how many wins they get. I don't really even care if they go.
Just because you defeat half these shit teams that they've been playing right now, like Giants, Broncos, Eagles, Cowboys.
They've had an easy
Browns.
schedule. They've had a remarkable.
They've had a very easy schedule. Jaguars. Oh my! Like I think the only teams they've played that are really put up a fight are Titans and Ravens at this point. I mean, most of the games have been close.
They've had a pretty easy schedule.
But when you beat when you beat the Jaguars 27-3 and the Browns 38-7, don't be flaunting. That much.
Yeah, they're going to be tough to take down. That defense is mean. Their offense is not like they have a nice offense. When you look at the spread of their offense from wide out to running back to quarterback, they are nice. They're just a nice, well-rounded team. Their defense, like I said, is really tough. The defense is the better part of that team. That's what's winning them a lot of these games. And Chase Claypool's having an unbelievable rookie season. Nobody could have imagined. Juju's playing well. They got James Conner in the backfield. Ben's playing well. Everything's really going well for him right now. And they're going to keep rolling into the playoffs for sure. I don't know how far they roll, but they are going to be a tough team to take out. I will say that. I
think if you meet the Chiefs, which I think that could be a viable situation depending on how the Bills do too. Because I don't know how the Bills are going to look in the playoffs. We've seen them be there before, but now they got a whole new situation. I don't know. I just think the Chiefs are the formidable team right now, and I don't see any team beating them. But it'll be a good game no matter who plays them.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are automatically getting in the Super Bowl no matter who they face. I think the Steelers could put up a fight, but I don't really know who I want to see for that AFC Championship matchup though, because I think a Chiefs-Steelers game, in my opinion, I think the Chiefs might roll over the Steelers. I could be wrong with that, just because.
Interestingly enough, that game would not be at Arrowhead. That game would be in Pittsburgh.
Another thing, though, too, is the Steelers haven't played a team at the level of the Chiefs.
That's another thing. That schedule is so weak. So when you go, Justin, I hear what you're saying. If that game will probably be in Pittsburgh, given the schedule. Even though that game is still being played in Pittsburgh, probably, this schedule is just so weak. And when you have that week of schedule, playing a team like the Chiefs is such a culture shock. Like it will be, yeah. It's such a shock because you're just
ready. Let's look at the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs are 9-1. They played. I mean, again, the Texans are not.
Yeah, so it might be at Arrowhead because if the Steelers don't win out the season, they probably will lose out on that bye.
And if they don't win out the season, that will be a disgrace because there's no reason they shouldn't.
The Chiefs haven't had that hard a schedule, but I mean, here and there. I mean, they had to play the Ravens still. They played the Pats, which was a closer game than we anticipated, especially without a lot of our key players. They beat out the Bills. They beat the Ravens. They lost to the Raiders, who actually have been a team that sometimes just kicks butt and sometimes just plays terrible. So that is a tough one there. And they got to finish out now with the Saints, the Bucks, which I think are going to be their two hardest games.
I cannot wait. That game is tomorrow at 4:00.
4:25. Yep.
Bucks versus Chiefs. Tom versus Pat. Are you kidding me? That game's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
But I see your point, Jerry. I honestly think if the Chiefs win the rest of their games and the Steelers lose to that Bills team, and the Chiefs have to play the Bills, I think, still. So if they beat the Bills and the Steelers lose, then it may be at Arrowhead if they face off against each other.
I just think there's nothing stopping the Chiefs from getting to the Super Bowl. I could be over,
The Steelers have a great team, well-rounded team. They got a mentality right now. But
Yeah,
the Chiefs,
it's just the AFC. I just don't think at this point right now. I just don't think it's that as strong as it was. And just
There's a chance that I'm too high on the Chiefs, but I don't think I am, and I'll believe it when I see it. And when I see it is going to be when somebody other than Tom Brady knocks out Patrick Mahomes from the playoffs, because it hasn't happened yet. He's either won the Super Bowl or got eliminated by Tom Brady, and that's not going to be an option this year unless they play the Bucks in the Super Bowl. But I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe Patrick Mahomes getting eliminated when I see it, and then for the future years, I'll be like, okay, maybe I won't be so high on the Chiefs. But right now, I just don't know who's stopping them. I don't know who's getting in their way in a playoff game. It doesn't matter how many they're down. Mahomes has proven in the playoffs he's going to come back and he's going to win that game.
Yeah, I just don't think
if he wants to win, he can win.
I just don't think the Steelers D is that. I think it's good, but I just don't think it's at that good to beat or to stop. Patrick Mahomes, and that offense is good. Chase Claypool's good. So is Juju. I have respect for them both, but I just don't know if that offense is going to be strong enough to get more points than Patrick Mahomes will in that game. So, and then the only other team that I would even consider making a run for the AFC Championship, not the Super Bowl, is the Texans. But I still think
no.
That's a hot take. I don't see
they're
that happening.
They're 4-7. They probably won't even be in a playoff team.
I don't think they're going to even make it.
I like Deshaun Watson, but
I like him. I think he's the quarterback that could do it, but I don't think the team right now can do it.
No, I don't think so. They have to go undefeated to finish the season because they have to be at 9-7 to even get a wild card spot. So they've already lost 7.
The crazy thing right now for me is looking at this NFC. You got the NFC East, which is just an absolute garbage fest. You might as well get these.
Whoa! Let's discuss this. You don't think the Texans can go undefeated the rest of the season?
No, they won't.
You think they're going to win out?
Just hear me out.
I'll tell you their schedule right now.
I'll tell you their schedule right now too. Just hear me out. They got the Colts twice.
I don't think that's going to happen. The Colts defense is just so strong. It's one of the stronger ones right now in fantasy too.
I don't think it's really an argument, even Jay. They're not going to win out. They're not going to.
They'll beat. Here, you ready, Jerry? They'll beat the Bengals.
They'll beat
the Bears. The Bears. The Bears. That's a tough game. Still, you still have Khalil Mack.
The only team I could see them losing to is the Colts once.
Then that's it. That's the season. That's the season.
Fine. That's the season, and they're losing to the Titans. No way are they beating the Titans. Okay. There's no way. They're stopping.
I love Deshaun.
They're stopping Derrick Henry. No, you're high. You're high right now. Get out of here.
I don't want to.
All right, we got to move on to NBA though, because there's a shit ton of NBA news. Free agency week was wild. We have to.
All right. Well,
unless there's anything else you guys want to add.
So
I just wanted to say with the NFC, garbage fest with the NFC East. Get rid of these 4 teams. I never want to see Washington football team, the Eagles, Giants, or Cowboys ever play another game.
You know what I will say about them is that it's just terrible. There's always that argument across all leagues, every sport. Should you get rid of conferences and just the top 16 teams or however many in each league are going to make the playoffs? Should we just rank them based on seed, no matter what conference or division you're in? And those are the teams that make it. The best teams actually make it. And in this case, there's going to be a team. Whoever wins that division is going to be 6-10. Not only get a playoff spot over a team that's 8-8 or 9-7 that's sitting out. That's going to have to be at home because they're not going to get to be in the playoffs. But they're going to get to host one. They're going to be at home because if you win your division, you get home advantage in the wild card weekend.
So and they're going to be 6-10. They're going to be
6-10 hosting a playoff game. It's disgusting.
And then I don't know. You just look at the South. You still got the Saints and Bucks going at each other, which obviously the Saints are probably going to win that out because the Bucks have lost to them twice. Packers, I think, are going to win theirs. And then it's honestly interesting with the NFC West. You got the Rams and Seahawks are now tied, which I never saw coming. And the Cardinals are making a stretch for the top spot, 6-4 now. No, just a game away from a 7-3.
There are going to be some good teams in the NFC that miss, and that sucks. It's going to be in like an Arizona Cardinals or something is going to miss the playoffs because the Dallas Cowboys with fucking Ben DiNucci are in the playoffs. It's not okay. I mean, it's Andy Dalton now. He's back, but like,
I think it's a little dumb. You shouldn't be saying, oh, we have to make sure everyone in every conference makes it. No, it should be the best teams. No one wants to see a team that's 2-10.
I'm not even saying that I'm for that. I don't know that we should just get rid of conferences or divisions across sports. I don't actually agree with that, to be honest.
I'm not saying get rid of them.
It's a theory. It's a thing that people talk about. And in this case, this particular season for the NFL, it's going to be a wild one because there's going to be a 6-10 team hosting a playoff game where Kyler Murray or the Bears aren't going to get in or something like that's going to happen. Someone's going to miss that doesn't deserve to miss. And it's a team's going to be in that doesn't deserve to be in. And that's just at the end of the day, that's what it is. And that's terrible.
I think football, it definitely has a greater impact than other leagues and one that they need to consider more. I mean, when you have the NBA, like for conferences at least, it's like the top
8-8
for no matter. You could have like the Atlantic, like if they have all their teams are like decent records, they'll get in. So I think it has a greater impact for the NFL and one that they need to consider more. I probably would do it for the NFL just because that just a 6-10 team that's not even over 500 getting in over teams that are 8-8 or 9-7. To me, at that point, it's just not fair. But I do because then it's just the luck of the draw. It's just like what conference am I in? Because if you just have a really dominant conference, then it's over. Like you're not good, and you're at the bottom of the dominant conference. Like you could still be a good team, but like I don't know. I think it's something that the NFL. I'd probably be for it for the NFL to be totally honest. I think it would be
keeping the conferences. I think is a viable option. I just don't think you can dictate.
Keep it, yeah, exactly. You can keep the conferences, just don't have that dictate who gets in the playoffs.
You just go based on
the record.
And if you have an I don't know, an 8 and 9 seed or both tied, you have them play it out.
Yeah,
that's it. Wild card.
Definitely.
There you go.
All right. Well, we'll go into the NBA talk. So
first thing we got to talk about is the Atlanta Hawks because they've made some crazy moves and they were the second worst record in all of basketball last season. And now they are looking like one of the most loaded rosters going into next year in the whole league. So we definitely got to talk about them. So they ended up with Bogdanovich from the Kings. They ended up, after all that shit with Milwaukee, the Hawks ended up with him, and the Kings didn't even match his restricted contract. Yeah, so he ended up in Atlanta, and they also brought in Gallinari. So now they're running Trey, Bojan, or Bogdan, actually. Sorry, Bojan's Bogdan, Gallinari, John Collins, and Clint Capella. That's a big lineup. That's a tall, like that back three there with Gallo, Collins, and Capella. That's a tall, big lineup. I don't know. Do you guys think that's going to work?
I just am going to be. They were a shit team last season. I mean, they were low. I like the moves they're making, especially beating out Milwaukee for that because I honestly, as we have right here, Giannis might leave Milwaukee after the Bogdan not joining. As Celtics fans, we don't want Giannis in Milwaukee, and we don't want Giannis happy in Milwaukee. So I'm happy with that. The Hawks, though, that does when you hear those names, that's a big lineup. I don't even know how that's going to work.
I think it will work just because Trey's the center of that offense, and Gallo, in my opinion, he's just getting older. I think he's just going to be more of a if we need 10, 15 points, like we're going to get that from Gallo. And I think John and Clint will just stay kind of in the post and kind of just dominate down low. I think it will work out, to be totally honest. I think because it's just going to be more of Trey's going to have all the pick and rolls in the world that he wants. He can just get all the points that he wants, in my opinion, because he has these big three guys behind him. I think it will work out for the Hawks, to be totally honest. I think this is definitely, a playoff team. I think this is looking good for them. So.
Yeah,
definitely some good moves.
What was that? Do you, Timmy?
Yeah, you have anything on Atlanta? It's just interesting. I don't know.
They're big names. We'll see how the chemistry goes. We've been talking about this with all the teams. They're making all these big moves, but at the end of the day, it's all together.
Yeah, exactly. I think coaching is going to be super important with this team. I think so. I mean, basically now they have Gallinari, who's a power forward that doesn't really have the foot speed to play the 3, doesn't really have the strength to play the 5. So he's basically a 4 that they're going to force to play the 3. John Collins is a power forward that struggles when he plays the 5 and can't play the 3. They just drafted Okongwu, who's a power forward who's only 6'8" or 6'9", can kind of play some small ball 5, can't play the 3. No, they just have a bunch of power forwards. They have Clint Capella at the 5, who they're not really. It doesn't seem like they're super sold on him. They've been shopping him since the day they traded for him. He hasn't even suited up for him yet. And I think that was a great trade to bring him in, but it seems like they're not really completely sold on him. They have a lot of pieces moving around in that front court. Plus, now their bench is going to have Cam Reddish, Kevin Herter, DeAndre Hunter. Like, they're going to have a lot of mouths to feed, and coaching is going to be important. Giving the guys the right PT that they want is going to be important in this team.
Agreed.
It's going to be a make or break for them, seeing how far
I think they have the highest chance of butchering it or potentially being that playoff team.
But I like that team. Like every guy you said there, like I think that's it. I mean, it's tough because you have those big guys that aren't like that big. Like they're all around like 6'8", 6'9", and they can't play the 5. But and it's tough in a league where you see like 3-point shooting and just like the down low is not really being utilized anymore. But I think that's a great opportunity for them to just bring that back. If you have those power forwards, those 6'8", 6'9" guys, they don't really like Onyeka and then like John Collins. They don't really go outside the arc. But like I feel like that team, if any team can make it work down low in the paint, it's tough because you have a guy like Trey who just shoots from like the half court. But like I think when you have big guys like that kind of work in the paint, just pound the paint, because I don't think any team can really match that. I mean, maybe the first 2 guys, but it's going to be kind of hard after that. And then as for your bench, Cam Reddish, Kevin Herter, you have all those guys, DeAndre Hunter. Those are the guys that you can use your arc shooting, kind of spread out along the arc, and then you can get some of that 3-point shooting in. I think if everything goes well, that team could be a dangerous team. I like that team. I don't think they should shop Clint Capella. I still think
I agree
for a solid big man, but I think that team could work. I like that team personally.
I do too. It's also going to be interesting to see Trae Young function in a system rather than playing like hero ball every night. The man averaged 30 and 10 last year. Like he was just doing everything all by himself. Now he doesn't have to. In fact, he can't.
I'm a little worried about that because
he's going to have to actually be a true point guard, true floor general, and really well. I mean, he's one of the best playmakers in the league. So I do think it'll work out. It's just a matter of taking the right shots.
Yeah, but he had that same problem in Oklahoma. That's the only reason I'm a little worried. Is he's always been the guy, and I mean he still is the guy. Like when I think of Atlanta, I'm thinking of Trae Young.
Oh, definitely.
Like I think it's going to be tough when he's not like the main. He'll obviously be the main character. He'll still score most of their points, but he's going to have to distribute the ball a little more and kind of get everyone involved. But if he can do that successfully and that all works out, that's a dangerous team, I think. I liked all the moves they made. So I think
definitely. I could see him being as good as a 6 seed, or if things don't work out, maybe missing out. But I could see them being nice.
If that doesn't work out, I think they will miss. It's definitely hit or miss. Like
it's a hit,
if they're gonna play well, they'll play well and they'll do it and they'll get a solid playoff spot. I don't think it will be an 8 seed. But if they don't and they don't like work everything out, that team could miss the playoffs personally. But I think getting rid of Clint Capella, it depends what they would get in return, but getting rid of him, I think.
I feel like you should keep him.
He's literally one of the best rim protectors in the league.
He's a great player. You went out looking for him. You got the guy that you should have got. You haven't dressed him, so you really haven't seen the potential he can get. And now you have a team that can potentially play with them. I think
when you have guys that are like 6'8", 6'9", and you don't really have that like that solidified big man, he is that guy. So why not keep him, see what he can do? I think he could help you on defense.
I feel like he's the type of guy where when you know you don't have a dedicated big man, he's going to step up and he's going to put on like he's got 3 more inches protecting that rim, like Justin just said.
He's a good big man too. Like when he was on the Rockets, I was like, wow, like that is a good, like he's always been kind of like a side character. He's not really like ever the main guy, but he plays well. He's a good defender. So I think the Hawks, it would be in their best interest to at least keep him and see what he can do. But
He'll
we'll
be
see.
he'll be their defender next year.
Yeah.
He'll be their defender.
And definitely. And then Tristan Thompson to the Celtics.
I mean, we lose Cantor. We got Tice though. I feel like I would rather start Tice at the moment still. I love the way Tice plays. I don't hate the signing. I'm interested to see how he works because right now the Celtics seem like they have a pretty solidified team. We look like we have a team. We're not looking like other teams struggling or anything. I feel like we're still a playoff contending team.
Oh,
for
no
sure.
doubt. We're
For sure.
doubt.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. It's just I don't know how far we're gonna make it in the playoffs. I mean, we saw this season we were really damn close. I see us going pretty far. I don't know if this signing like pushes us that extra inch. I think it's just a signing just to keep us with a big man.
Yeah, that's more
to
what
help
it is.
to help back up Tice, which I like, but at the moment I don't know how he's gonna work out with our system, but I'm interested to see it. I've never been a huge fan of Tristan Thompson.
I like
I like the way he plays. I just never have been a fan of just like his,
I like the
his
move.
character. His character, I guess I would describe it.
Yeah, I like the move, to be totally honest, just because he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's definitely a body that we can stick down there to kind of help us.
He's a tough guy.
On
He will play.
And I think in a system like Boston, where I think he's always been like on a team where it's just kind of like when he was on that LeBron team, he was definitely not the main guy. He was barely even thought about. This is a chance for him to be put in a system, like a system where you can just focus on him. I mean, obviously he's not the main guy still, but you can place him in a team where you have Tatum, you got Brown, you have this solidified just team already. And when you have a solidified team like that, if you put him in there, they can help him go further in the playoffs. I think overall he's just a great guy to place in that team. Justin, what do you think?
I am not unhappy with the signing. As John was saying, I've never really loved his personality, him as a person, and like just his attitude. He's had some motor issues. I won't tolerate motor issues in Boston, and I don't think he's going to bring them with him here. I think he'll leave that behind in Cleveland. Lack of motivation. Kevin Love was going through the same thing for playing for a terrible losing Cleveland team. I can't blame him for that per se, but he can't bring that to Boston. That won't like Brad Stevens won't tolerate that. The Boston fans won't tolerate it. So that won't last long if he's going to be jogging up the floor and stuff. But if he's going to work hard, if he's going to defend and grab rebounds, that's all we need. And I think we brought him in as a body to help us guard Joel Embiid or Bam Adebayo when we're playing them in a playoff series. And if he can do that, I'm happy with the signing.
Do you think that'll be a problem? Outside issues?
I think he'll leave them behind. But we see. I think Boston is one of the few teams that when you got a problem like this, like we saw with Kyrie, we've seen like issues with that. We try and separate ourselves from it. So I think I'm not concerned with Boston in this situation. I think we'll make the right move. And I think we can hopefully fix his character and his personality because we just have an unbelievable team. I don't know how you can have problems with Tatum and Brown and Kemba. I mean, they just work well together. But then again, this is his own personal thing too. So I'm with Justin. I swear to God, I hope he leaves it behind. But then again, sometimes these guys just carry you're still on this side of the conference and you're bringing some bad blood with you. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that's what I think I was trying to say earlier. When I'm saying a solidified team for Boston, I think just a team that just doesn't take any bullshit,
Oh no, I don't.
They don't mess around like you saw with Kyrie. Like we're not messing around with someone who's, separating the locker room or, doing the bullshit outside of what we're trying to build here, which is we're trying to win a championship. So I think it will work out because I think you have guys like Brown and you have Tatum who are so focused, in my opinion, smart on winning a championship, where I think if you bring a guy like into that environment, I think it's just perfect personally.
I think he'll change his attitude. I think when he sees the locker room situation and the way those guys attack every single game and every practice and every drill, I think it'll change how because again, like Justin said with Kevin Love, I mean, he's been in a situation where they've just you were on that LeBron team. LeBron leaves. Now you're left with Kevin Love, struggling. I think it hopefully helps him. He's on a team like LeBron's where he's gonna be better because the team around him is better. But it's just a matter of whether he's gonna let his own personal demons and his own shit get to him. Because if he does, he knows he ain't playing. We have tights. Yeah. He's not the guy that we're necessarily starting right away. That's
the other thing I'd say about it is that I was ready for Robert Williams to take a big leap this year, and it's not going to happen. So that's all right. But
I just think that I don't know if they were going to. Do you think they were going to give Rob Williams a fair shake?
I don't know. So he's so good in bursts.
I know.
In small bursts. So but when we do give him good minutes, he often can't put it together for a long period of time. So I'm okay with him still getting small bursts. And as far as winning a championship goes, Tristan Thompson's a better player now. So, look, man, I'm just trying to hang another banner. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with anything we're going to do.
Let Williams just keep getting his small bursts, and then eventually he's going to piece it together. He's still a
I trust my life. I trust Danny Ainge with my life. So, if he likes Tristan Thompson, I like Tristan Thompson, honestly.
And another great thing we got to look at, too, is this Tatum signing Supermax. We got Tatum back.
Yep.
We're keeping him.
We got five Supermaxes signed this past week.
So we're keeping Tatum. I think we're all happy with that one.
5 maxes.
It's 5 maxes, 2 Supermaxes. Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell was the other Supermax along with Jason Tatum.
I think we're all happy with the Tatum situation. Celtics fans.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Tatum, we absolutely love him in Boston. So I think that's an easy one off the board. I think it's fair. Tatum definitely is worth it. He's the guy that puts in the money, puts in the effort.
Only the Reds.
Bam. I support that one fully. Bam deserved the max. Mitchell deserves the Supermax.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell definitely does.
I'm happy De'Aaron Fox got paid as well because he deserves it.
I think he deserves that. And Sacramento needed to do that to keep him there.
You need this. The Kings are just struggling. They need a guy that they've had before to stay there.
Yeah,
he would have left if he didn't get it.
Oh, I would have left too. I mean, there's no reason to stay in Sacramento unless he's getting paid because he's not going to get a championship. So, I mean,
so you might as well get something out of it, and maybe in the future they'll rebuild. I don't know what they're going to even do.
Honestly, if I'm De'Aaron, I'm getting my money and I'm getting the hell out of Sacramento. But I don't know if he'll do that. But that's personally what I do.
He'll probably just keep taking the money. He'll probably just keep taking the money.
Get your money and get the hell out of there, because that team, that organization will kill your career. But
and then we got Ingram,
Brandon Ingram.
Got a max.
So I think
I like the max for Ingram as well. I think he and Zion could be a nice duo, and I'm glad because he was also rumored to go somewhere else, or that the Pelicans wouldn't give him that money or whatever it was. And I think it was smart of them to pay him.
The Pels needed to keep him, and now the Pels got Steven Adams too. So you got Steven Adams, Zion, and you kept Ingram, which I think is important. The Pels have the Pels are like a team that you don't think they should be struggling, but they need to keep those guys.
Yeah, they have all the pieces. It's just it's just.
Actually, if we want to talk about the Pels for a minute too, we definitely can, because they also brought in Steven Adams, and now they're going to be keeping Eric Bledsoe in town as well. So they'll be running maybe Lonzo off the bench, Eric Bledsoe starting at the 1, Steven Adams alongside Zion in the front court now. That's pretty interesting. They're both dogs. It's just an interesting team. It's definitely a different looking team this year. They'll probably get to start JJ Redick, which will help them. Giving JJ Redick minutes will never hurt you. I mean,
I think the teams to be interested in right now, for me at least, are like with these new signings and shit, are the Hawks and the Pels, because they're just teams that struggled before and now they got new lineups entirely.
I don't love Eric Bledsoe there, though. I'll definitely say that.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a huge. You can look at these things and take them as you wish. The teams made the decision for whatever reasons. I'm interested to see how it works out, though.
Yeah, I don't love Eric Bledsoe. I don't think any of us are big fans of Eric Bledsoe, so seeing him there is kind of weird. But I think, you're in a conference that's very tough, so I don't know if you're going to get anywhere. But I think just try it out. See, I think you need to give Zion a little.
He'll make a run.
Give Zion a little more minutes so he can get used to playing a decent amount of time, because right now he's just getting put in and out. Just kind of run with that team. I think that team could make not make a huge splash, obviously, but it's definitely a different looking team, like you said, Justin. But I'm interested to see what they do. You know, it's a different look, but I'm always intrigued to see a team built like that, where you just have like a lot of good individual pieces, but you don't really know how they'll work together. I think
Yeah,
that'll be interesting to see.
definitely.
It
I
will
hope
be.
that they don't let Eric Bledsoe take away from Lonzo Ball and Kyra Lewis's development, because they just drafted Kyra Lewis, another point guard, in the draft. I think that was like 14 or 15 or 13th pick or something like that. And they also have Lonzo Ball, who is nice alongside Zion. Like, Lonzo throwing lobs to Zion is nice. That worked out nicely for them. And I don't think they should let Eric Bledsoe ruin Lonzo's career as far as development goes. I think
feel
Lonzo
like-
should still be starting. I would start Lonzo. I would,
feel
but
like-
they're not
You
gonna.
don't think
I
they'll
feel like
keep Eric
they will
Bledsoe for
probably
that?
make the. Nah, I
I
feel
bet
like they're
they'll
gonna.
start
I
Eric
feel like they're
Bledsoe.
gonna make the mistake and start him, and it's gonna really mess up the dynamic. I think there, but
I think
if
that's
if they can split it, if they can give Lonzo the time that he needs, and with Zion, because they did a fairly well job together with their chemistry, then I think it could work out. But again, none of us like Eric Bledsoe, so we can't control it.
Yeah, it's not even that. I don't like Eric Bledsoe, but just his game is just so like you just don't know what you don't know what you're getting. Like you're just like
You could be getting something good, but you're not guaranteed.
well, is he a scoring guard? Is he pass first? Like
He's more of like a defending guard that like has some offense in his bag. I
It's
guess.
never consistent.
I don't know.
It's never consistent for me. I see him as a defender, and then just I don't know. I never see really consistency there. But
yeah. But yeah, and then I guess the last thing NBA thing we'll kind of leave off on is Giannis. And this is kind of rumors, but Giannis might leave Milwaukee just because they didn't land Bogdan, and then they were talking the entire time, and then the fact that Milwaukee couldn't get him there just kind of leaves Giannis being like, well, what left do I have here? Because that was the off-season piece that he wanted. Sorry. So I'll kind of go around the horn. Do you guys think that this impacts Giannis's staying with Milwaukee long term?
Dame, you want to go ahead first?
I had to do something for school real quick. Something popped up.
Yeah. No, all good.
I'll go
I can
second.
I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
If for Giannis at least, if Bogdan is, I mean, I love him. He's a good player, but if he's the reason you don't stay, like if you're leaving,
seems petty.
That seems extreme. Like at least give the Bucks another chance. They didn't do anything wrong to you. I mean, I guess if it was like a couple of years, if he left in like 2 years and they still didn't make any moves for him, sure. But I think making a move like right now or even next season without considering what else he can get, I don't know. I think he should stay. Do I think he will leave if they don't add another piece? Yes. I think he wants a ring. He's realizing his worth, and he realizes he needs kind of other pieces to do it. And if Milwaukee's not going to be able to invest that for him, I think he will leave. I don't think he should. I think he should give Milwaukee a chance, but I don't know. Justin, what do you think?
I think that just adding Drew Holiday is going to be really nice for them. I think they might win. I mean, I know it's not an 82-game season, but on a regular year, I'd give them 66 plus wins. Like they literally might be one of the best. Like with Drew, yeah, like no one's scoring on that team, bro. They were already on pace to win like 66 or 68 games last season with Eric Bledsoe back there, and now they have a better defender and a better scorer, which Eric Bledsoe is just trying to be both of those things. And I think they're going to be better than people think, which is hard to even say that. But I think that Drew Holiday was such a perfect pairing for them. And I don't know who's going to score on them. Like, but with Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez, I don't know who's scoring.
That is true.
I agree with Justin on that. I think that they're a much stronger team, and I like their signings. I think the Bucks have won out on some of these moves, especially with the Drew Holiday one. But I think when you talk about Giannis, I mean, we've seen him bitch and moan like this before. I feel like every season we have something like this where Giannis might leave, or he says something like that. He unfollows everyone on Instagram. He adds them back a day later. He has these little episodes where he's like hitting the wall like a little teenager in his room because he didn't get the toy that he wanted on Christmas. He's just got to grow up. I mean, work with the system that you have. You have Drew Holiday now. You didn't get Bogdan, which I love Bogdan, but I'm happier with the Drew thing. Okay, you got Drew. You're gonna win out on the season. You're gonna have a great, regular season. I don't know what you're gonna do in the playoffs because, I mean, with the Bucks, you see they have a great regular season, and we don't know what they do in the playoffs. But with this team, I think they're gonna be better. They're gonna be formidable for the Celtics. Again, like Justin said, even the Celtics, Drew Holiday, that's just tough to see against you.
Honestly, I do agree with you guys. I think Giannis controls his own destiny, to be totally honest. If he wants to be dominant, he has every right to do so. He's just got to be dominant. I don't think.
I mean, last year we saw him. He didn't want to be. It seemed like Jimmy Butler was torching him in that series, and he refused to guard him. And then they asked him in the interviews after, and he's just like, "I was doing what coach said. Like, I'm not going to go guard." Like, he's just like, he was confused by the question. What do you mean you're confused by the question? You won defensive player of the year. You're not going to guard the best player on the other team that's torching you. It's your job to go guard Jimmy Butler when he's giving you 40, and you're the defensive player of the year. I think
it's his destiny. I don't think he needs Bogdan. To be totally honest with you, and this might be a hot take, I don't think he needs Drew Holiday. I mean, he might need him to get to a championship, but if Giannis wants to take over, you saw it with LeBron. Not that I'm comparing him to LeBron, but you saw it with LeBron where he doesn't have a lot of pieces, but he can still get to a quarterfinal, or he can still get to even a semifinal. Like, just
we've seen him do that just by himself.
And Giannis, to me, you guys might not just hear me out, is more athletically gifted than LeBron. Not that LeBron has a greater work ethic than Giannis, hands down. But from just an athletic standpoint, wingspan, everything, I think Giannis is more gifted.
And he has put on some muscle,
and he's put on some weight. So I think
athletically, I'd say yes. Obviously, all around talented.
All around talent, no. Yeah. LeBron's still better.
But athletically, Giannis might be the most athletic we've ever seen.
Athletically, out of the womb, he is better than LeBron from an athletic standpoint. Obviously, all around everything, LeBron's better. So, you want to disagree with me, Justin?
No, I don't want to disagree. No. I do like what you're saying, but yeah. Like,
I'm not comparing to LeBron.
Just from the womb gifted is where I lost you there, because
he's not
LeBron's
from the womb
ability to just put the ball in the basket is
when you look at Giannis too.
Giannis can't really shoot.
When you look at Giannis, he was a skinny, scrawny little guy. He put on the muscle and the athletic. He had the athleticism. The muscle though had to come with time. I mean, you look at Tatum too. Tatum had to do rounds with Giannis too, but Tatum put on some muscle and some weight, and now he's a bigger guy. So I see what your point is.
My point is, if he wants to go to a championship,
he can do it. He can do it on his own.
Alone. He doesn't need a guy like Bogdan, and I think Drew Holiday is definitely going to help him. But I think it's up to him this season if he wants to get to a championship, which he can totally do. I think he could win a championship. He's got to have just a more fierce mentality. Like,
I feel like there's a constant attitude. I feel like there's a constant. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I feel like there's a constant attitude problem over here on our side of the conference. I mean, you got Joel Embiid, who's got an attitude problem sometimes. You got the whole Kyrie situation, and now you got Durant with him. And now with this whole situation with Giannis, it pisses me off because, I respect Giannis.
I don't think he has an attitude.
Not an attitude. Well, no,
he has the right attitude. He just doesn't have the killer mentality.
I'm talking about it's the motivative attitude that he needs for himself. If this man sat down with himself and told himself what he needed to hear, because everyone says it. He's a great player that we have seen go far, but when he doesn't play, like Justin said with the Jimmy Butler situation, when you don't play, and when a player like this is blaming the coaching, when you're such a great player, you should be the one coaching yourself out there too. The coach can only do so much.
Yeah. Coach doesn't tell you who you're going to guard if Jimmy Butler's giving you 40. At the end of the day, he was going against that Miami Heat team. He took it upon himself to play about 31 minutes a night instead of 44 of a 40. Like, why are you playing when you're down in a series? Why are you playing 30 minutes?
Well, at the end of the day, like if Giannis goes up to coach and he's like, keep me out there. No one's gonna
say no.
No one's gonna say no to that.
If he walks off the court, then the coach is gonna put him back in.
He went out there and guarded Jay Crowder or Myers Leonard and let Brook Lopez take Bam and Chris Middleton take Jimmy Butler. And this guy sat there guarding Jay Crowder, playing 31 minutes a night, and they lost the series in 5. And he's complaining that they lost. Like, what do you think was gonna happen? You have to actually try. Like,
and if it's just hey, I'm gonna guard Jimmy. Switch. Simple as that. No one's going to disagree against that. No one's just gonna.
And he's the one controlling the court out there too. If he says switch with me, you're switching with him. You're not arguing.
Exactly.
I'm not arguing with Giannis.
He runs that Milwaukee team. He just doesn't realize it. He runs that team.
I know. If he tells me he wants to guard someone, go right ahead. You do you.
In Milwaukee in general, if he tells anyone on that team what he wants to do, no one's going to disagree with, unless it's complete blasphemy, which probably isn't. Like, if he's like, I want to stay there for 44 minutes, no one's going to say no.
Like, and whoever their coach is Mike Budenholzer, and I don't know what he's doing, not saying to him before the game, you're guarding Jimmy. How are you going into game 4, game 5, down 3-0, saying, oh yeah, we're just running the same system tonight. Like, you guard, like, tell him to. He shouldn't even, but he should be doing it himself. But also, if you're a coach, tell him to, and don't let him come out at 31 minutes.
It shouldn't have been discussion.
First thing you should do as a coach is walk around every player, telling them who you're going to guard if you're out there on the court, and you should be telling it, especially I feel like the first thing, tell me if I'm wrong, if you're ever in an athletic situation, the first thing your coach tells you is who's the best player on that team, and who am I putting against that? I mean, Jerry, with you too, whenever you played in basketball in high school, your coach is Dwayne's probably telling you who you want to guard.
The coach has so much more influence at that level. When you get to the NBA, these are grown-ass men.
You have to make the decision for yourself. You need to know that.
For yourself. They're just there. It's not, I don't want to call it babysitting. They definitely have a role, but it's more just giving you plays. And at the end of the day, it's what you want to do with it. So at the end of the day, I think Budenholzer was like, I think this is what Budenholzer said. I think I'm not giving him too much credit here, but I'm like, I think he went out saying, who do you want to guard? Or do you think we should continue with the current way we're saying things? And I bet everyone was just like, hey, Giannis, what do you think? And he was like, yep, let's just stay with the current. Like, let's just stay with our current matchups. We're good.
I could see him totally making that face and doing
that. And I think everyone was just like nodding their head, like, yep, sounds good. Like, he doesn't want to change. So that's what I think happened at the end of the day.
The coach is really just giving advice. He's advising the players.
He's definitely setting plays and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, Budenholzer knew what was going on. And he probably had like a little inkling being like, maybe we should put Giannis on Butler. I don't think he never thought that. I think he asked his team, maybe do you guys think we should stick with our current matchups? I think everyone looked towards Giannis because Giannis is clearly the dominant figure on that team. And he was probably just like, you know what? We should just stay with current matchups. Let's try it again next game. And continued to say that until they lost the series. So I think it's up to Giannis to change that team personally.
He's got to be the one that steps up and takes that. He's got to take that initiative. I hope Drew takes a little initiative.
I think Drew will
realize. I think Drew looks at this team coming in and goes, "This is a team that I'm going to win a championship with, and that I could win a championship with." I mean, when you look at the Bucks right away with just Giannis too and the system they got, that's a team that should win a championship at some point. I thought they would have by now, with the way Giannis was dominating. Now that you got Drew, this is a team that you look at, and I mean, you still have a tough, you still got the Celtics, you still have teams that you have to beat. But when you look at them just on the board, that's a team that should be going at least to a championship at some point.
The last thing I'll say before we can get in a little NHL talk, but
we should probably just wrap it up too.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
We'll move NHL to next week.
Okay. The last thing I'll say is if Giannis does not get a ring by the end of his career, it will be 100% his fault.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I can agree with that.
I can agree with that. I feel like the whole entire career with Giannis is based on whether he's got the personal attitude to go out there and do what he's got to do. Because I feel like a lot of it is just him. It's not other people. It's not the coaching. It's not the teammate chemistry. Because he's got all that. I think it's just him.
You just got to
the mentality. The mentality. Like if you walk out there on the court, you got to know what you're going to do every single day, who you're going to guard. And if your coach tells you otherwise, then you listen to the coach. But if you know that you should guard that star player, you should be doing that. You shouldn't be trusting a system that's been losing you multiple games in a series. That's best out of 7.
Yeah, he has the most power, and if he wants to win, he can do it. He just needs to have that mentality. But we'll wrap up there. Thank you guys for joining us for another
week. Thank you for watching.
If as always, if you made it this far,
happy Thanksgiving.
Like something. So hit that like and subscribe button. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. We'll be out here next week, Thursday night.
Nice little NHL talk.
We'll be here Thursday night. So I hope you guys enjoyed the time. Boys, it's been a pleasure as always.
It's been real, boys.
It's been a pleasure. Peace.